The man who is having a wedding is named Li Ruijia, but soon the wedding will turn into a funeral. Shortly after the wedding, the groom of the wedding mysteriously died in the intensive care unit. The wedding turned into a funeral. So what kind of tragic case is this exactly? What hidden and terrifying truths are behind this case? On February 6, 2013, a wedding was taking place in Shaanxi Province, China. The groom of the wedding was Li Ruijia, and the bride's name was Wang Hui. For this important event of marriage, everyone could not hide their excitement. Li Ruijia was no exception. However, there was something important that made him uneasy: the local custom of wedding hazing. In this region, the tradition of wedding hazing is to physically harm the groom. The belief is that the more intense the beating, the greater the blessings for the newlyweds. This custom has been passed down through generations. While this kind of ritual may seem disturbing, and even though it might be staged, when young people start getting physical and others join in, the groom inevitably suffers. Before the wedding, Li Ruijia jokingly said to the bride, Wang Hui, that as long as he could marry her, he would have no complaints even if he had to go through difficult challenges. On the day of the wedding, during noon, Li Ruijia was walking back from the bride's house when a dozen young men rushed towards him. These people were all good friends of Li Ruijia from the village. They surrounded him and started patting his back. The beating went on for an unknown duration. Li Ruijia began to feel dizzy and his body experienced immense pain. He muttered softly, "That's enough, that's enough." However, the others showed no intention of stopping. Some even shouted to hit him harder, to bring more blessings to the couple. When people at the wedding heard the commotion, they joined in and the punches and slaps rained down on Li Ruijia. His waist, back, and chest were all subjected to the blows. In this chaotic brawl, Li Ruijia gradually felt increasingly unwell. He kept begging for mercy. At this point, the bride, Wang Hui, couldn't bear it any longer and shouted for them to stop. The beating reluctantly ceased. Li Ruijia, gasping for breath, stood up and prepared to lead his bride into the house. However, those involved in the hazing said that this wouldn't do and insisted that the bride ride on Li Ruijia's neck into the house. This was the only way to show Li Ruijia's sincerity in taking a wife. In order to not ruin the atmosphere, the groom happily agreed and said, "It's fine, let's do it this way." So Wang Hui rode on Li Ruijia's neck. Although Wang Hui was not overweight, she still weighed around 100 pounds. At the moment Li Ruijia stood up, already weakened by the physical strain, he was unable to stand any longer. His face turned red and he staggered into the house. This farce did not end there. That night, several young people tried various means to torment Li Ruijia. Li Ruijia's sister, Li Ruijia, saw her brother's face turning red, a sign that something was seriously wrong. She quickly asked what was happening, but Li Ruijia shook his head to indicate that everything was fine. "Let's get married, everyone be happy," he said. The bedroom antics continued for 4 hours until 1 a.m. on the wedding night. After Li Ruijia's friends left, Li Ruijia told his sister that his feet hurt and that he felt uncomfortable all over his body. The next day, he went to the clinic, but they couldn't find the cause of his discomfort. So his family quickly took him to the best hospital. Unexpectedly, that night, the hospital admitted Li Ruijia to the intensive care unit and immediately performed surgery. They issued a critical condition notice. Sadly, after the surgery, the groom Li Ruijia showed no signs of improvement. After only a few days in the hospital, Li Ruijia, regretfully, passed away due to his severe injuries. The next day, Li Ruijia's sister reported the incident to the police and took the people involved in the hazing to court. Li Ruijia's body was examined by the Judicial Appraisal Center in Taiyuan City, which confirmed that his death was caused by trauma resulting in a ruptured trachea, followed by severe pneumonia and respiratory failure, renal failure, and spinal tissue infection, ultimately leading to multiple organ failure and death. In other words, Li Ruijia was beaten to death. Despite the judicial appraisal, the local villagers had conflicting opinions on the matter. They believed that an average person could withstand this kind of hazing and questioned whether Li Ruijia had a serious illness. Several defense lawyers for the defendants in the hazing case also suggested that Li Ruijia might have been injured for other reasons and that's why he was admitted to the hospital. Furthermore, they argued that Li Ruijia stayed in the hospital for a long time, so perhaps the hospital was responsible for his death due to medical negligence. The county court refuted the defense lawyers' doubts, one by one. The court determined that Li Ruijia had been working as a grain transporter at a vinegar factory, and previous medical reports confirmed that he was in good health. The judicial appraisal report confirmed the direct cause of Li Ruijia's death. In the end, the court found the defendants in the hazing case guilty of manslaughter due to negligence and sentenced them to 3 years in prison, suspended for 5 years. The 4 defendants were also ordered to collectively compensate the victim's family with 360,000 renminbi. What about where you are? Do you have any uncomfortable customs?